this is Dr. Caroline Peterson. I'm inviting you to join me in a class called Writing Your Previous Life Story. This class begins on June 18, 2023, and the first class starts at noon to 2 o'clock. You can come in person to Sarasota, Florida at Cypress Pillar, or join us online. Either way is great. This is a really special class. I have been tremendously impacted myself by my previous lives, and I have found that when I understand them, then I can heal from them and I can move forward into this life less encumbered and really enjoy my life more. And so I wanted to share that process with you. One of the things that I found very, very helpful was after identifying a previous life that was impactful, even into this life, I found that it was super helpful to kind of fill that out by learning more about that historic period and different people who were involved and different things that were going on in that region of the world and what have you. And so because I found it so helpful, I wanted to share that with you. And so that you could develop those capacities also. So on the first day, we're going to be talking about creative writing. And we're going to learn a really awesome technique to help us move away from the conscious mind and into the subconscious mind where we hold older sort of like memories or knowings or impressions. And that technique is called self-energetic emotional release technique. And it's really helpful for helping to fill out the story, because basically what you're doing with that technique is asking yourself if something feels true. If not if something is true, but if something feels true or resonant. And that will help to guide the writing process. So we'll spend time that day learning that technique, which seems a little bit hard to start with, but then once you get it, it's kind of like using a pendulum or something like that. That's just helpful, and you can use a pendulum if you want, it doesn't matter. Whatever technique you want to help you fill out the story, that's awesome. And then the other piece that we'll be talking about a little bit that day is making sure that you have a previous life that you know of, that you want to like identify, that you want to like develop more. Then after that, when you have those tools, then the next week you'll be researching into that previous life and what was going on and stuff like that, kind of like writing out the outline of the story, like the different things that will be involved. So not exactly like the creative writing necessarily, but like the backup work, the stuff that will add color to the creative writing, like specific details from that era. And then in the third week, we'll meet again online or in person. That'll be July 2 from noon to 2 o'clock in Florida time. And then everybody will kind of share where they're at with their story creation, if they have questions, how's it going, that type of stuff. And then the next week on July 9, they'll submit their story to a classmate, and then somebody will read your story, you'll read somebody's story and give feedback. And then the following week, everybody will rewrite their stories. And then on the last week, which will be July 23, we'll meet on Zoom or in person, and you'll present your story. You'll read your story to the class and talk about the impact that writing this story has had on you. So it's going to be 6 weeks of group support for writing your previous life story. And we're going to meet in person or on Zoom. And there'll be a total of 6 hours of Zoom or in-person classes, and the others are going to be like a discussion board where we're sharing information. And so all of that is for $49.99. And it doesn't include a coaching session from me to help you identify a previous life story, a previous life scenario that is impactful for you and that you'd like to write into a story. If you need help finding your previous life that you want to bring into the story, I can help you with that, and that's half an hour for $85. So what I'd like to do is to share my story with you, the one that really changed my life. And this story really helped me delve into that part of myself that has been melancholic, and help to heal that aspect of myself so that I can move forward with greater joy in my life. So this is the story. I'll just read it. My name is Matilda. Mama, Papa, and Thomas called me Tilda, and Clarence called me Tilly. I was born in 1802 in Boston, Massachusetts, to a wealthy family. Of course, at the time, I didn't know or understand that we were a wealthy family. Strange enough, my ancestors were slave traders. We portrayed ourselves as blue bloods, but there was a skeleton in the closet. I only found out about that after my grandmother, Mimi, my mother's mother. She had lost her mind, they say, and in her later days, stories came up that none of us had heard. The history had been obfuscated, hidden from view, hidden in the recesses of memory that only imbecility could resurrect. I say that only in the gentlest way. I loved my grandmother, and she me. But if she were in her right mind, none of that would have surfaced. And honestly, I wish it wouldn't have. It sullies our family name. It is a blight on our ancestry. Of course, none of us would support that kind of behavior now. Of course, none of us would condone it. We are definitely anti-slave. We treat our servants well, and each receives a tidy sum for her work. But I'm skipping ahead. I'm skipping back. Perhaps my mind, too, is addled. It all began some time ago when I was a child. Mother, father, Thomas, and I lived in our beautiful home in Boston. Thomas was 2 years my elder, and we loved each other dearly. We were playmates, and he cared for me as no other. Mother and father were jolly. They laughed together and with us. We were a happy family. Mother was a part of the gleaning circle. We called it that. Women would come to our home every fortnight to read. They read together and discussed the contents of the best minds of our time. I played on the floor. I scampered about behind the couch and chairs. I was small, only 3 when this all started. But Mama and the ladies didn't mind because I was quiet. I was good. Papa was a banker. He managed money and accounts in the best bank of Boston, the Massachusetts Bank. Clarence, too. He didn't mind Mama and the ladies talking in circles about books. As long as the children were fed and behaved and the servants minded the place, he was fine. I told you Mama was from Philadelphia. Mama was a Morris. She was born in 1778, only 2 years after Grandfather signed the Declaration of Independence. Her family were merchants there, and her father helped to gain independence from the British. He played no small part, but no one speaks of him now. I don't want to speak of this. I want to speak of other things. I want to tell my story, my truth. It is time that it came out. But what is my truth? Mama went to the first school for girls in Philadelphia, the Young Ladies' Academy. She was educated. When her father was in the Senate, he met Papa's father, and they decided Papa and Mama should meet, which is good that they did because Papa and Mama were happy. I was happy too. Before Thomas came along in 1800, Mama had two other babies who died, baby Alice and baby Andrew. We talked of them and kept their hair on the mantel in a box. They were cute and sweet and nice, but died. They got sick and died, and no one could fix it. So when Thomas came along, he did fix it, and Mama and Papa were so happy again. They laughed again. Laughter filled the house. Then me. I came after that, and we were so happy. Nothing could take away our happiness then. Not even when little Michael died. We put his hair on the mantel too. But we didn't talk of him much because we didn't want to be sad again. We wanted to be happy. Well, I went to school too. Mama said it was important. Papa said it was fine. I went to the Lyceum for young ladies. Mama said it was the best. Mama said I had a head on my shoulders and I should care and do good work. So I did. Papa said he was proud of me and Thomas. Papa was a Harvard man and said that Thomas would be too. Then that terrible day happened. I only know I went to sleep and woke up. The house was on fire. I was so scared. I ran to the street. The house was on fire. Then Thomas was there, and the house was burning. And Thomas rang the bell, but there was no water and no way to put out the fire. And the mist, I felt it, soft and cool and moist, and it couldn't put out the fire. And Papa and Mama didn't come. And I stood there, paralyzed. And it was over. My life ended. I was done. The laughter was gone. Everything changed after that. For me, not for Thomas. Thomas was a Harvard man. Thomas kept going to Harvard. I was done. Father's brother Frank said I was to live with them. They took me in. I was 15. I was to do as they said, and they would give me a home at 15. His wife, Aunt Mary, said I was to be quiet and good. I was to eat my meals at the table with them. I was to stroll. I could read in the back parlor or receive a visitor in the front parlor. I was to wait for my suitor, and surely he would come. I wore black. I didn't have any hair to wear. Then he came. Everything was black for years. Then he came. He stood in the door. They brought his card. Aunt Mary brought him in. He came. I was 19. His name was George. He was a Harvard man. He was a friend of Thomas's. Thomas taught at Harvard, chemistry, and George was his friend. A friend of Thomas's. Thomas's friend. He was a good man. He was Thomas's friend. We sat in the parlor. We took tea. We went for a stroll. He courted me. Then he was gone. Terse. It was a carriage, they said. He rushed across the street. He was late. He was a Harvard man. And the carriage crushed him, they said. Now I wear black, but no hair. I knew him 6 months, a year. Aunt Mary said we were to wed. He was a Harvard man. Now he is gone, and I stay. Aunt Mary says I must change. I must go to parties. I must be jolly. I sit at the window in my room and look out. The world is wet. I am sad. I am wet, but on the inside. On the outside, I am dry. I wait. But what for? Thomas is at Harvard. He is a chemist. I see him every week. I love Thomas. He is my light. He is my world. He is my reason. Without Thomas, there's no reason to live. There's no reason to be. Thomas said, there's someone to meet, something to hear, something that Mama would have liked. Thomas said, we will go. He will take me. I cannot wear black. Thomas said, I must put on my light blue dress, and he will pick me up and take me to the meeting. Thomas will go with me, and everything will be all right, and Mama would like it. So I prepare. It takes me a long time to prepare. I am tired. I am so tired. I am not used to caring. I am not used to preparing. I am used to sitting in my room and staring out the window and wishing it would pass. But I prepare. Thomas said to prepare, and I prepare. I wash my face and hands and body. I comb my hair. It is long. It is tangled. It is pretty. I forgot. I prepare. I wear a corset. It is tight and hard to breathe. I prepare. I pinch my cheeks. I prepare. I press on my hose. I prepare. I lift my hat. I prepare. Thomas is here and says, I look pretty and let's go. I prepare. Thomas said Mama and Papa would be proud of me and I must go on and life is worth living and I will see. This will change everything, Thomas says. And we leave. The air is crisp. It is early spring. The street is muddy and the horses clip-clop on the cobblestones. The carriage jounces. It is late afternoon. I smell green. I hear birds. They say, chirp, chirp. It is spring. Thomas says it is a great day. Everything will be fine. I will see, he says. Thomas is a chemist, a Harvard man. Thomas knows. And we arrive at the house. We are there. There is a circle, a salon, like Mama used to have. There are men and women. They sit together, side by side, in a circle of chairs. They whisper and chatter. They know each other. They sit in a circle, side by side, men and women together. Thomas says it will start soon, and I will see, I will like it, just like Mama. We sit and wait. And then it begins. A speaker, a woman, Mary Lyon, a chemist. Thomas was a chemist. Thomas knew Mary Lyon. Mary Lyon said women should study. Mary Lyon said women are as intelligent as men. Mary Lyon said women need opportunities and were not just destined to be wives and mothers. Mary Lyon said we could study things, we could change things. Mary Lyon said education could change things. The time is now for women to study and learn and be. Mary Lyon saw me and looked me in the eye and said, I can help. Women learn. Mary Lyon said to get up and move, and together we will change the way things are. Mary Lyon said, wake up. The time is now. Mary Lyon said she needs help. She has friends who help and she needs more. And that we want to help, she said. That is why we came, she said. I want to help, I say. Mama would like it. Mama said I had a head on my shoulders and I should study and I should care. Papa said it was fine. I go to the salon every week. Thomas goes too. I sit beside him. He says the time for action is now. I say I want to act. I want to go to Harvard, but they won't let me in. I cannot go in the door. Not in the library, not to lift a book, not to read. Thomas is a Harvard man. Thomas is a chemist. Thomas has a lab. Thomas reads the books at Harvard. Thomas knows. I go to the salon. We read Reverend Joseph Emerson's book, A Discourse on Female Education. Mr. Emerson was a Harvard man. Zilpah Grant Bannister was Mary Lyon's friend, and Mr. Emerson was her teacher too. I met her. I met Emma Hart Willard and Catherine Esther Beecher. They say they need me in Boston. They say women need an education and are as intelligent as men and are not destined to be only wives and mothers. They say I can help, and so I do. And so I wake up. I do become alive. It is like a miracle. That summer, I began to live again. I go to the salon. I listen to the conversations. I begin to help. I begin to work. Papa was in banking. Mary Lyon says to have an education, women must have a school, their own school. Mary Lyon says to do this, we need money. Mary Lyon says, I can help. Papa was in banking. Everyone in Boston knows Papa. I can help by asking for money and Papa's name for the school for women, a place for women to study. because women are as intelligent as men and deserve the opportunity to study, to think, to be. So I do. I go to the bank. I go visit Papa's friends. I dress up. I look pretty. They say I look nice. They say, "How do you do?" They say, "We haven't seen you for some time." They say they are glad I am out and about, and what a fine day. And a school for ladies? Why, that's absurd. Why would a lady want a school? And I say women are intelligent and only need an opportunity. And they chuckle and give me some bills for my project. And I become strong. And I become impassioned. And I remember Mama and Papa. And I remember the circles that Mama had. And I remember Mary Wollstonecraft, who, Mama said, preached that women should be educated and all people have the capacity to reason. And I remember Mercy Otis Warren, and Mama said it was the longest book she ever read. And it took the circle nearly a year to finish. Mama said it was worth it, because it was the first nonfiction book published by a woman in America. Mercy Otis Warren never went to school, but she had to sneak a look at a book and sit in on her brother's lessons from her uncle. Mercy Otis Warren said girls should study and learn, just like boys. And I made a friend, Elizabeth. She went to the salon too and wanted to help. We did fundraising together so women one day could go to college just like men. We went to the Lyceum together and listened to the great writers and thinkers of our time lecture and read. We met Wordsworth, we met Daniel Webster and Nathaniel Hawthorne. Then there was Clarence. Clarence worked at Papa's bank. Clarence remembered Papa and said he was a good man. Clarence said Papa had thought him a good man too, and that Papa would not mind if he came to sit in the front parlor. Clarence was 41 and had never married. I was 29, too old to marry now. But Clarence said please, and he didn't mind me fundraising for a college for women just like men. And it was fine for me to go to the Lyceum. And so we wed. Clarence said Thomas was a good man and a hard worker. And we had a baby right away. I had a baby. It seems my body did not know how to do it well, and was so small and the baby could hardly get out, but somehow managed. And we named her Juniper after Papa's mother. We called her June. And Thomas was the godfather and Elizabeth was the godmother, and we were so happy. Right away, baby Matthew followed, named after Papa's father. The birth was so difficult, but we were happy, and I was happy, and Elizabeth and her sisters, Sophia and Mary, had reading parties in their home every week, and we all felt alive. Our world was changing. The world was changing. We were changing, and everything was fine. Elizabeth said she didn't want to teach anymore. She would open a bookstore and would have books in all languages from all over the world so people would become educated. And Margaret Fuller came. And every week she led conversations for women only. And we talked about the role of women in society and what we want and what we deserve and why we are born and what we are to do. And I had another baby. I hardly know how. She came through me strong and feisty, little and sweet, and we were a family. I named her after Mama, Mimi. We were complete. We loved each other, and we loved our life. And Elizabeth said it was time to talk to the governor about the school for women, that I should go. Papa was a banker. Clarence was a banker. We knew the governor. I knew the governor. He was a friend of Papa's. It was a ball at the governor's mansion. I was to go and speak with the governor. I was to dress my most elegant. I was to persuade the governor to allow the school. It was all up to me. I held the keys of the future. I was running late. The nanny could not stay. Her mother was not well. Clarence said it was all fine. He said it would be okay. The dinner was made. The nanny would leave after the children were in bed, and it was fine. Go, he said. I went. The rush. Elevation, excitement, elation. The ball, beautiful gowns, handsome men, lovely ladies. Yes, I knew them all. I strained to catch the governor's eye. He is so busy, caught up with the men, I cannot penetrate. But I must meet with him. Elizabeth says it is time. We must persuade. Only I can. I must. I stay, I wait, I watch. I know there will be an opportunity for me to... Yes, now. I move towards him. He greets me with extended arm. My, he is happy to see me. Where have I been? How have I been? And Clarence and the children. And wouldn't Papa be proud? And what a pity he did not know his grandchildren. And what? A school for ladies? My, oh my. A school for ladies? What is the world coming to? What would Papa say? What would Papa say? And yes, I should meet with his wife. She is the one who can help me. She is the one who will help. And what a lovely party. And it is late, and I am glad, so glad. We shall have a school for ladies. I just know it. I just know. And I am tripping as I run through the streets so late. And the smoke. I smell it. And the bell. I hear it. And I turn the corner, and it is my house. And my house is burning. And it is just like Mama and Papa. And it is dark and night and mist and wet and the fire and smoke and flames. And I hear screaming. And it is June at the window with baby Mimi. And she has the baby and throws down the baby and jumps. And Matthew too, and they land. Thump, thump, thump. And it is me who is screaming. And the men hold me back. They claw and scratch and shriek to get to my babies. They turn my head away and hold me tight. And I shriek. And it is my fault. I stayed too late. I shouldn't have gone. And Clarence never comes. And the children are gone. And I am alone, alone, alone. Black, 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 night, night, night. Done, done, done. The end. The room is dark. I sit at the table. The curtains are drawn. The table is round, polished wood, dark. My hands are folded on the table. I can't feel them. I sit at the table, Thomas's table. I lived with him after it all. I sit still at Thomas's table. I can't feel. I love Thomas. Thomas is all I have. And Elizabeth. Thomas is a chemist. Thomas is at Harvard. Thomas is a Harvard man, like Papa. Elizabeth comes. She says there has been a terrible explosion. A terrible explosion in Thomas's lab. Thomas is dead. Thomas died. I am dead. I died. I sit at the table and do not weep. The table is polished and cold. I am cold, inert. Does life go on? Not for me. I am done. There is nothing more. I sit at the table for days and months and years, with the curtains drawn. It is dark, and Elizabeth will come and bring food I don't eat, and I gray, and I age. I am cold. I am done. And she comes one day, Elizabeth, and says, I have a letter. The war is over. It is 1865. A college for women is opening. Vassar. And the letter says, I am invited. I should come and sit with others who have fought and struggled for for the education of women. And now, yes, Vassar is a college for women, a sister college to Harvard. And I helped, and I should come. And my life is important. And I made a difference. And it is not all over. And Elizabeth opens the curtain. And there is light. And the bird says, chirp, chirp. And a college for women. A woman has the same intellectual constitution as a man. Just like Mary Lyon said. Yes.